Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. I just kind of wanted to talk about research trees today and just try to help people understand the best way to do research to get the biggest bang for your buck. So, early on, the biggest two trees to focus on is development and economy. Development is great because it's going to help you be able to research faster, build faster. It'll help you be able to get your troops faster and extra barracks and things like that. So I'm going to scroll up to the top and kind of show. I started out maxing these things early on because they were so fast and it was early game. But it was really important to me to max out my construction speed and my research speed so that it would be faster. And then the other thing that's in here is it will reduce the amount of resources you're using on construction. So that means that every time you build, you're using less of your resources, which means you have more resources later to help you at end game to be able to build things. So as you see, I've tried to focus really in on research speed up, research efficiency, construction speed up, and construction efficiency. And I did that basically all the way down. And then I did get to a point where it was just taking a long time and I was impatient, so I haven't finished those yet, but I will. But because we started PvP, because we had Desert Storm and our enemy buster days, I went ahead and started in on this last one here. Which is the survival skills, which means that you'll have a decreased death rate of your units. And that's the bottom of the development tree. So this is really important when we're doing our PvP battles. So when we're doing enemy buster and we go across and somebody attacks us, we will lose less troops if we use this tree. The other one that I did two of right now is this drill ground expansion. And my reasoning behind that was if I could get a little bit more expansion on my drill ground, I could fill it up. I would technically have more troops to lose in battle so that I could fight for longer. So those were the ones that I started kind of doing here recently, and mostly just for PvP was the reason I did that. So development tree is really important. But the other piece that's really important early on is economy. And when you go into economy, what you should be focusing in on are these where your food output, because these are passive. This is what's happening in your base at all times. This isn't gathering. So you want to try to increase your output on iron, on coin, and on food. So anytime I had that ability, I maxed it out. I also got the extra nodes, as you see here, where I could gain more farmland so I could get more of the bread. And I tried to do that. I haven't gone up in gathering speed. It can be useful, but that's not something that I prioritize at this time. I wanted to prioritize my passive ability to get iron in my base while I'm sleeping. And this will also mean now that we have our capital buffs and we apply for the Secretary of Interior, that as we're able to boost our iron output by 10% through our tech research, we're able to also get that boost on top of that with the Secretary of Interior buff from the Capitol. So as you see, I have gotten down to here. I'm working on this, but I kind of stopped here and didn't go further. These start getting a little bit longer, around 8 hours, so not a huge deal. But I wasn't as worried about protecting my food and iron, so I kind of stopped at that point, and I'm working just on finishing up my food output is what I'm really focused on right now. So those are the two early on trees to focus on for your research, and that's probably the biggest help for sustaining growth all the way through the rest of the game. The other one that's really important, but have to be careful with, is our squads. Each one of these is our squads that are out front, and they get more and more expensive. And so your first priority would be your squad 1. And so as you see, I haven't maxed it out yet, but I'm working on it. I'm doing my damage side first, and then I'm going to come in and do my shielding side, that's my defensive side, second. This means that any of my heroes within this troop are boosted, and I will have more power on my squad 1 than on my other squads. And the reason why you focus just one squad is because each subsequent squad gets more and more resource intense. And so it's really good to go ahead and focus one squad and make sure one squad is taken care of versus using a lot of resources and a lot of time to get your secondary squad, which isn't as powerful in the research, it just isn't as effective to do that. So as you see, I haven't even touched squad 2 because I'm still working on squad 1. So a lot of times what's recommended is if you buy the monthly pass that you max out squad 1 and then work on squad 4, because squad 4 is one of the cheapest squads to work on. Squad 2 and then whenever squad 3 opens up, they're more expensive and will use a lot of resources and a lot of time. So if you're paying for the monthly pass, it's better to just do squad 1 and then squad 4, because those will be very rapid and be able to get your squad taken care of really well. So those are some of the big tips on the squads as you're doing your research. As you see, I've started hero, but just barely. This is more of an end game type situation. It takes a lot of resources, it takes a lot of times. What I have done is I've gone in and I maxed my tank at this top, and then I have started working on this tank. But see, it takes 2 days, and so I don't want to use 2 days of my tech center right now because it's not quite as important to boost my heroes at this point. I have gone down a little bit within this tree just because these were fairly fast and it was an easy thing to just throw in on tech day to be able to get points, not because it was anything strategic, just it wasn't taking a lot of time. And sometimes that's how you do tech too. You want to just get some tech done and you don't want to tie up your tech center for 3 days. So sometimes pulling these in at that time can be helpful. So I wouldn't really focus on your hero tree right now, other than maybe if you're doing tanks, getting these first few tank research done so that your tank is more powerful, your tank squad is more powerful. What we really want to be working on is really this alliance duel is very important for us to be able to win our versus each week. And so as you see, I've been trying to do this strategically in a way to open this last box. I haven't spent anything extra, so you do 6 across the top, get this box. This is 20. I maxed that out to 20. You only have to do 1 here and 1 here, so 1 in construction and 1 in research. And then you need to do 6 on your incentive training, and then 6 on your enemy kill. And then you're able to come down here and you're able to get your super bonus, which unlocks those last rewards within Alliance Duel. So that's very helpful. Once you've unlocked that, it's time to start your tier 10 research because it's going to take so long and so many resources. So it'll be important to start that as soon as you finish getting this last box, this super bonus. So when you look at the the special forces tree, so once you get that last box within the Alliance Duel tree, then you'll want to start working on this special forces tree. I'm just going to pull it up so you kind of see. This is going to make your troops stronger all the way down. So this is pure power. This is going to make you powerful all the way along the way. All your troops are getting stronger. You get more healing capacity, more training capacity. Everything is getting stronger. And at the very bottom, the goal is to get your tier 10 troops. And so That's really important. It takes a lot of gold, a lot of resources, and you do have to be level 30 in order to get your tier 10. So I did look up, and let me pull this up where I can tell you, because I thought this would be helpful information for you to have. And whenever you're looking at trying to go all the way down the the tier 10 research tree, it is going to take 1,984,200,000 gold to get tier 10. So we're talking 2 billion gold. It's a ton of resources. Not only does it take that, oh, sorry, that's just for the advanced protection health. Sorry. It's almost 11 billion in order to complete your tier 10 research. So it takes a lot of resources and a lot of time. It also takes almost 78,000 of your valor, and it also takes around 4 billion food and 4 billion iron. So just keep that in mind when we're talking about starting this tree. So every week you're going to come in here and do whatever you can based on the valor that you have. And if you can, save it for research day. So as you see here, we have to open up our level 1 super chest to even start this. But the first one is 2.7 million. And then it's 237 valor in order to do this. So you're able to start this as early as level 15 tech center. But just keep in mind, it's a lot of resources and it's going to take a lot of time. So the sooner you can start this grind down your tier 10 is really helpful. So one of the tips that I saw online was you have the 2 tech centers if you purchase the second tech center. And they said it's one of the best purchases of the game is to have the second tech center. One of your tech centers, you do your non-badge research. So you do your development, your economy, your squad, and your heroes research. And that's all you do in that tech center. The other tech center, you leave available to do all of your badge research. So your Alliance Duel research and your tier 10 research. Because as these get longer and longer, you'll want to start these on research day and maybe pick them up the next research day or later on in the week. But you want to try to keep it where you're running badges in one and all your non-badge research in the other. That's one of the tips. You don't have to do it that way. I have very rarely done it that way. A lot of times on research day, I'm throwing all my eggs in my basket, meaning I'm using both of my tech centers to do tier 10 research and Alliance Duel research, and I'm just getting as many badge researches done on tech day. And then I probably don't do badge research until the next tech day unless there's something really big I'm pushing for. So just a tip that they have online. You could use that. You could choose not to. And if you only have one tech center, you need to think about probably focusing a lot into development and economy, and then on tech days, really soaking into Alliance Duel and maximizing the points for using these Valor badges that we get extra points for in VS. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight, was just go through some research tips, and I didn't know if anybody had any questions or comments. If you do, I'd be happy to try to answer if I can. What were you wanting me to show?
Yeah, I definitely have a question. I'm hoping you can help me out. So I'm almost where you are on that versus tree. I was just 900 valor short of getting that last, those 3 boxes unlocked for the dual expert, I guess, or the last challenge. So you said after that tree is done to start on the special forces. Do you recommend maximizing everything in the versus tree before you start on special forces?
So there online, there's debate on that. Some say maximize the Alliance Duel because you'll get extra points, and some say start the tier 10 so that you can start that process. So I think what I will do is I'll probably do a little bit of both because I want to maximize my power too, but I also want to continue to be competitive with NVS. So I'll probably still continue to put some into this, but put some into my special forces tree. So for example, over here, this is going to mean as I do this, their health increases on my troops, and so that means they'll die harder when I'm in PvP. This means they'll have a base attack that's higher. That means that as I hit other players, I'm going to hit much harder. And then this one will be that it increases their defense. That means when I get attacked, my units don't die as easily either. So I'll probably do a little bit of both just because I want to be stronger in PvP situations, but I'll also still continue to try to maximize within that Alliance dual tree. Now, Nurse, as soon as you asked that question, he said yes. So he's going to do stuff a little differently than me, and I don't feel like there's ever just a one size fits all. There's a little bit of a what's your play style and how do you want to do things.
I appreciate you answering that. Uh, I had another question, if that's all right. So I understand on the build days, it's when you pop the present is when you get the rewards. But on the science and valor days, is it when you start the research or when you finish it? Because I wasn't sure if it's when you spend the valor is when you get the bonus, or if it's when you finish the science build on that.
So it's a little bit confusing because you get points for picking up and finishing research because your research improves and increases, so you get some points for that. But when you start research, if you're starting using your valor badges, you get points for the valor badges. So it's kind of both. You get it for starting if it's valor, and you get it for picking up any of your research.
Okay, and it's only recommended to start spending the valor on that one day, correct? Saving all your valor for, forgive, was it Wednesday maybe?
Yes, that is what is recommended, to use your valor only on research day. Now, once you start getting deep into your tier 10 research, that special forces tree, you might not want to because it's taking 5 days to do research on your tier 10s, and you just want to keep that going constantly so you're getting closer and closer to tier 10s. So early on, it makes sense to maybe use the valor and just speed it up on those days. There comes a point where you probably are going to be running it not just on those days.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So I was going to show this to you. As you see right here, this is my buffs. And because I've done research, my food is 32% more producing than it would if I hadn't done that research that I showed you. Same is true for my iron. It's 42% higher just off of my tech research. I've got other things that are helping boost it that makes it to 64%. But my tech research means I'm getting 32% more food all the time. I'm getting 42% more iron. And the same is true with the coin output. It's gone up as well. So if you ever want to look and see what is the percentage, how good am I doing, if you come up and click your house, your base, and then you've got the little arrow with the bars under it, you can see your economy and see how things are doing as far as things are boosted. Oil's not out yet, but here's your construction speed up. It'll show you all the stuff that your tech has increased by doing the research that you've been doing. Any other questions anybody has?
Is it worth it to upgrade the builder's hut?
Well, not really. Mine's 16. every now and then I go in and I upgrade it just because I don't like things to be way far behind. But you're looking at free construction speed and it being like 12 minutes. Early on in the game, 12 minutes off was very helpful. When you've got a 30-day build, those 12 minutes don't even matter. So the answer is it's really not worth it, but if you wanted to upgrade it because it's really far behind and you want something fairly quick to upgrade on a build day, it doesn't hurt to do it, but it's not going to be super helpful to do it, and it's just resources that you're using that could be going to something
Thank you.
else.
I had a similar question on on the priority of resources. So there's a lot of smaller builds that you could do, but not all of them offer good returns. Like I've been watching YouTube videos and they say don't level the training base, prioritize other buildings. Do you have any thoughts on like what resources that you gather or build there
Оставь
that you should
определенно
prioritize?
обязательно поговорю. Sorry guys.
Hi, I think you're unmuted. I don't know if you meant to be.
Yeah. So no, I didn't meant to be on it. So yeah, that was an accident.
No worries. So one of the things we have always done is right now I did my training bases. They're not very high. It was just something I could do really quickly today. I think they're going to level 16 or 17. I don't ever go past 20 on training bases because there'll come a point where your heroes are all maxed and you really don't need the XP anymore. But what I have spent a lot of time on and resources on is trying to keep my resource production buildings fairly close to my headquarters. And I'll come through and I'll do a whole row of my gold, a whole row of my iron, a whole row of my food, and just work through a pattern to try to keep it where it's generally between around 2 levels with my headquarters. So right now I'm 24, most of these are now 22, and I try to keep that fairly close. And the reason is because it takes resources to do that, but then it makes more resources, and over time it will repay the resources I used in order to upgrade those. So I always find that those are very important to upgrade. The other ones that I find very important to upgrade, especially for power and things like that, as your drill grounds, I try to keep those fairly upgraded, just because it helps your power to have bigger drill grounds because you have more troops there. And then I always try to upgrade whenever I get my max. So like I went to 24 here recently. So I had to come back on my barracks and level up to 20 on this one. And I'm working on getting to 17 here and 14 here. So I feel like that's always important to keep upgrading as well, so that you've got your barracks at a rate that you can train the correct level troops. And then the other one that's important, and we'll see this especially, it's important during Buster Day, but it's more important during our server versus server, and we have the actual server versus server capital wars, is to keep your hospitals upgraded. And as you see, mine are all nice in this little bow because I haven't been doing a good job on keeping my hospitals updated. But you want to have your hospitals upgraded because you want to be able to hold a lot of units that are severely wounded and be able to heal them. And so right now the capacity of my hospitals is 4,000 and the capacity of my drill grounds is 22,000. That means if I took huge hits, I'm going to lose the majority of my troops because they can't go into my hospital. So I need to get my hospitals much closer to my drill ground capacity. So that's something I'm going to be working on build day, is trying to catch those back up, because I don't want to lose 18,000 of my troops when I get hit and I only have 4,000 capacity in my hospital. I don't know if that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been lacking on the hospitals as well. On the Buster Day, I did a dozen attacks, wasn't paying attention. In my last 5, I essentially just wiped out all those troops that died just because my hospital was full.
So they're important in PvP, and they're often the thing that people neglect early on. And I knew that, and I still neglected them. So something I'm rectifying on build day this week.
Do you um, level up your squads in front of the base? I haven't been like around my headquarters level because usually if I feel like I need to get back to our area fast, I just usually tag on to a rally. But should I be upgrading those more often?
No. A lot of times, what I'll do is if I feel like I want to do something, it takes like 2 or 3 hours. These are so low, I'll start them just to have a quick build because I want to have something quick and easy that will open back up here in a little bit. Um, I have done a little bit. Again, my first squad, my strongest squad, is only 14, and I'm headquarters 24. And if you go in and look at this, um, it doesn't really impact your power on your squad, and it doesn't really impact a whole lot of your power on your base. All it really does is improve that marching speed, which, yeah, you can rally back, and that's generally helpful. This could be helpful in PvP to be able to march faster, but a lot of times we've been talking about, especially when on the map PvP, like Enemy Buster Day and Capital War, you are going to use gathering nodes to get yourself closer to people and then attack them. And so you generally have fast speed to a gathering node. So this march speed isn't as important. So I have not spent a lot of time at this point in the game worrying about leveling these.
Thank you.
The other thing is I really have only focused on my tank center because that's my main squad is tanks, and I know that's going to be my main squad. So these, if you look, my missile center is level 10 and my air center is level 12 because I'm not doing those as my main squads, and so I'm focusing in on my main squad and what's going to make my main squad stronger. So if you are trying to do air or a different type of squad, then maybe you come in and do air higher. But I've been just focusing on my tank center because that's who I'm focused on as my hero in my squads.
So I have one of my heroes that already has all the stars, and it looks like he's in Hall of Fame. What all do I need to do to keep up with that, or what should I be doing going forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Hall of Fame, like I have Kim right now in Hall of Fame, and because we're about to have, gosh, what's his name? The other DPS guy. Stetson's coming soon. I'm trying to hold on to my universal hero shards for Stetson so I can upgrade him. But any Kim shard I get, I go ahead and put into the Wall of Fame. As you do that, you're going to get some boosts here to help you out. So like once she gets to 50, you get the extra attack. So as you get shards, you upgrade them, but it's not something to necessarily worry a whole lot about. Now I will tell you with Mason, and I can pull up Mason really quick. Mason becomes UR later. And so when I look at Mason, he's one that I think I put into right now just because he'll be UR later. So for example, I don't put any of these purple shards into anybody but Mason. So he'll be 5 stars soon, and then he'll be on the wall. And the important thing on that is when we hit season 1 and we want to make him UR, you really want to wait until he's around 150 on the wall to make that change. So that's what I would just recommend on him is use all of these SSR shards on him and not any of your other purple heroes, just on him. And then you'll be able to convert him to UR during season 1. And he's very helpful in season 1 against PvE. He's not great PvP. And so some people say I wouldn't waste anything on Mason because he's PvE, not PvP. I'm really not wasting anything on him because these purple shards aren't really going to anybody that's UR anyway, and he's going to be UR soon. Once he's UR, his skills that are very beneficial is this one right here. He boosts the back row tank hero's damage versus monsters in battle. So if your main squad is tank and you pull out Marshall and you put Mason in with Stepman and Kim, you're going to do so much more damage on like the code bosses and things like that. And there comes a point where, I mean, that's helpful. And on Capital War, server versus server Capital Wars, there'll be these zombies that show up at the capital that we have to attack. And if we don't kill them, we lose our rewards and we need to kill them. And he'll be able to help us kill him better. So he's helpful. He's not going to be your main hero, but since you're getting these UR shards anyway, not UR, SSR shards anyway, you might as well upgrade Mason with them and get him to 150 on the wall.
Thank you. I already have him leveled up quite a bit with the shards. I only did him and what's the other one? It was a female, Monica.
Monica.
Those
yeah.
were the two that I focused on, yeah, in the beginning.
I will be by your side no matter.
And I would just say with Monica, she's one, she's helpful when you go out. And again, her skills, and I have put in a little bit on her skills, is if you put her into your squads when you're farming the zombies next week, and you have upgraded this, you'll get more gold and coin and food from all those bosses that you're attacking. So that's one positive on her. But as far as using your SSR shards, Violet is a better bet, and the reason being is she becomes UR in season 2. Scarlet is also somebody who becomes UR, and I believe that is season 3. And then the other one who becomes UR that's helpful, especially if you're doing air, is in season 4 or 5. Sarah becomes UR at that point. So like I prioritize Mason now because he's the first UR. Once he's UR, then I'll start prioritizing Violet, and then I'll prioritize Scarlet, and then I'll prioritize Sarah, if that kind of makes sense.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Any other questions anybody has? Hopefully this was helpful. I just wanted people to kind of see the research tree, and hopefully I feel like that sometimes can be the hardest part of the game, is trying to figure out what should I research to make myself stronger and more efficient and able to sustain my growth.
Yeah, this has been very helpful. I do have another question on the science. So when I go to pick which science tree I want to use, I have 2 different colors of thumbs. Do you know what those colors of thumbs indicate? Yeah, you have a red and a blue there.
So red is what they're saying is my top priority, and then blue would be my secondary. So they're saying in my faster research I should be doing units, and then in my slower secondary research center I should be doing the boost growth. So red is normally the priority, blue is your secondary.
Gotcha. Do you ever follow those recommendations, or do you just kind of go with what you feel like would benefit you the most?
I don't always go with them. Sometimes I go with what I think will benefit me the most. So, for example, I've done a little bit more in development than what they recommended putting on there. So, I think it depends on what you're trying to push for. I went into development mostly because I wanted to get down here and get this survival skills. And then I also wanted to improve my research speed and my build speed. Those were the reasons why I kind of came into develop more. And then I have gone pretty good into power here with my units. But I don't always follow that, just depending on what my end goal is. and I really just didn't want to lose a lot of troops during PvP, and so I felt like getting down to that bottom one was really important for me before we had DS and events like that.
That's great. Thank you. One last question. When you were on Mason, I noticed you had skill points that weren't spent. Obviously, we have Hero Day where you can spend skill points. Would you advise spending skill points on SSR characters or no? Or the
So,
hero upgrade points for their whatever abilities there's 4?
so the only reason I did do Monica up to 10 so that I would get more gold, but I only put up to 10. If you went higher than that, you'd get more gold. I'm not struggling with resources right now, and so I only went to 10 because I really want to focus power. Um, and I'm not struggling with resources, so that was part of my decision making. I'm really right now focusing Kim because she's my most powerful. So I'm going to come in and try to max out her top right hand. That's what I'm going to be trying to do on Hero Day. And if I get that done, I go ahead and max out all of Kim's stuff so she's just as strong as she can be. And this is a tip that I got from our old GM on, 862 when we started there. He told me I always try to make my damage dealers strong enough that they're worthy of protection. So I always go into my damage people first, and then I kind of pull in my tanks. And once I feel like Kim is strong enough she's worthy of protection, then I'll start putting extra back into Murphy as well. So I wouldn't probably put a lot into your SSR, but if you are struggling with resources and you're going to put Monica into your squad to go farm the gold zombies, I'd probably put at least some into her gold finding ability, this treasure hunting ability.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And Nurse Gnome corrected me, and I'll share it. The red thumb is for power, the blue thumb is for building. I always took it as primary and secondary, but apparently I was wrong, and it's always important to share accurate information.
But it's what the game recommends, right? It's not
Yeah.
anything. Okay.
Still don't follow it.
And Nurse laughs behind me and says he still doesn't follow it, so there you go.
Okay, perfect. I haven't been either.
I look at it. Sometimes I go, oh yeah, that makes sense. And sometimes I go, I don't feel like doing that at all. And so I do my own thing. Okay, any other questions before we end the stream and Nurse will get the recording all figured out?
All set. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys for coming. Hopefully this helped, and I look forward to doing these maybe weekly on whatever topics we feel are most valuable.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you much.
You're welcome.